Hey folks, Ben Starr here from MasterChef Season 2, and today I'm going to teach you how to use the Kitchenaid Pasta Press or Pasta Extruder attachment. Now before you jump to any conclusions, no, I do not have an endorsement deal with Kitchenaid. Kitchenaid doesn't even know who I am. This was given to me as a birthday present this year, and I have absolutely fallen in love with it. I'm obsessed with it, and I make homemade pasta all the time. So I'm going to teach you how to use it in the event you would like to get one for your own Kitchenaid attachment. There are basically several different parts. The top lid is actually the container for the different types of pasta dies or presses. And they've got everything in here from spaghetti to macaroni to my two favorites, which are rigatoni and fusilli. So they just come right out like this. And when you've decided which one you want to use, you unscrew the little rim of the attachment, and you need to place in the pasta press or screw. Put it down there until it's perfectly seated on the inside. Then you're going to place your pasta press attachment that you've chosen right on there, and then you're going to screw it in. Couldn't be easier. Now I'll show you how to attach it to the Kitchenaid in just a second, but first we have to make our pasta dough. Okay, today I'm going to use primarily semolina flour to make my pasta. You can usually get semolina flour at health food markets and gourmet markets, and it's basically a coarsely ground flour made from durum wheat, which is a really hard wheat with a high gluten content. And we're going to make about a pound of pasta today because I'm feeding 6 people as the main course. So I'm going to start out with 3 cups of semolina, and it doesn't have to be exact. Semolina also makes a pasta that has a nice kind of toothsome bite to it. Fresh pasta can tend to be really soft, so if you balance it out by using semolina flour, it will work better for you. However, you can also completely use all-purpose flour or bread flour or anything like that. It's totally fine. So I've got 3 cups of that, and I'm also going to use about half a cup of all-purpose bread flour as well. So 3.5 cups of flour total. I'm also going to add about a teaspoon of salt. And this recipe would normally call for 4 eggs. But today I am experimenting, and I'm going to replace 2 of my eggs with, of course, my signature ingredient, pumpkin. So I've got half a cup of pumpkin puree here. It's homemade puree. And I've had it resting between 4 layers of paper towels to kind of draw excess moisture. Pasta tends to need to be a little bit stiff and dry for the dough to work appropriately. So I'm going to see if this actually works. I have no idea if it will. But normally if you will use 4 eggs to 3.5 cups of flour, you'll have your ratio just about right. Okay, so that is 2 eggs worth of pumpkin. Pumpkin is actually a common substitute for eggs, which lowers your fat content. I'm just going to add 2 eggs to my pasta here. And a little bit of water, just kind of a spritz, maybe a teaspoonful or so. It's going to help that come together. Now we're going to put this into our mixer with the dough hook and start it on speed number 2, which is normally your kneading speed. Just let that go. This is not quite coming together as I anticipated, so I'm going to go ahead and add 1 more egg. One of the things about making pasta is that it's always kind of hit or miss depending on the moisture content of your flour and the relative humidity outside. So you can add more flour or more moisture if you need to adjust. Okay, we're heading in the right direction now. You can see it's granular, but when I push it together, it does stick. We just need a little bit more moisture to help this all come together. You really want to come up with a pasta dough that is stiffer and drier rather than too wet. So I'm going to add maybe a tablespoon or 2 of water to kind of bring all this together. See how that's behaving kind of like a cohesive mass now? It doesn't look like dough right now, but we're about to make it look that way, and I'm going to show you how. On your countertop, sprinkle just a little bit of flour. You're not going to need a huge amount of flour because we have a very dry dough that's not sticky. Now we're going to take our pasta dough out of the bowl. And it's still kind of crumbly at this point. We're just going to work it with our hands just for a little bit. And this takes a little bit of force, but get all that pasta together and then just start pushing it like that. And this is going to take you 3 or 4 minutes, maybe a little bit less. It depends on how strong you are, to kind of make this into a workable dough. And it will happen, even though it doesn't seem like it at the beginning. It seems like it's just a big crumbly mess, but it's going to turn into something that's more like Play-Doh the more you work with it. This is nowhere near as soft as a yeast bread dough, and definitely infinitely firmer than a quick bread dough like biscuits. So just work it as firmly as you can, and the more you do, the smoother it will become. Now when your dough has become fairly workable and smooth, it's time to press it. To attach your extruder, lift the flap, and there's a little key on the inside that's going to line up with this notch on the end here. So just fit that right in. And once it's secure, tighten. That's simple. Now take just an ordinary bath towel, spread it out on your countertop right underneath, and this is where you're going to lay your pasta as it's pressed out in order to dry. Now the handbook for your attachment, which is critically important that you keep this, will list the speeds that are appropriate for each different die. And here for rigatoni, it recommends that the mixer speed be 6 and that I cut it at a 1.5 inch length of pasta. Okay, so we're going to turn our mixer speed to 6, and we're going to begin by taking off just a little bit smaller than golf ball sized pieces of our pasta dough, rolling it together and then dropping it into the top hole of the press.
And there you can see the rigatoni is coming out the bottom. And when it reaches its proper length, we're going to slide the little cutter arm right across it. That's about right. So just slide the cutter arm right there and they fall right off.
Look at this, a pound of perfectly beautiful pumpkin rigatoni. It was an experiment that completely paid off. I could not be happier with it. I think I've been working about 10 minutes. And when you consider that this pasta is going to take about 2 to 3 minutes to boil in salted water, and a regular box of dry penne takes about 12 minutes, I'd say it's pretty much a toss-up. The time is no different if you make it yourself from scratch, and these are going to be so much more delicious. One of the cool things about using actual semolina flour, it's hard for you to be able to see it on camera, but the edges of this pasta are kind of spiny and fuzzy. That's because those individual grains of semolina get lifted out of the pasta dough as it comes through the press, and what that's going to do is grab the sauce and hold it right around the pasta. It's going to be fantastic, way better than box dried pasta. So I hope this convinces you that a Kitchenaid Pasta Press is an incredible attachment to have. I prefer it to my pasta rollers. I never imagined that regular extruded pasta would be this easy to make at home. I cannot tell you how impressed I am with this piece of equipment. And cleanup is super easy. You just take it off, unattach the bottom part, and they do give you a little attachment if you don't have a strong grip, but I've got a pretty strong grip. Take it apart, let it sit out on your countertop for 2 days. I love it. I don't even have to worry about it now. Then after 2 days, I'll show you how to finish it off. Then after your extruder parts have sat out on your countertop for a couple of days to dry, you clean it by just taking a little knife and pecking out all of the little bits of crusty hard dough. It's best to do it over the sink so you don't spread them all over your kitchen. But super easy. Under no circumstances should you ever wash any of the parts of the extruder except for the little removable cutter thing. You can wash that, nothing else. Do not ever put this in the dishwasher or immerse it in water or you will have ruined it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you use the KitchenAid Pasta Extruder for your KitchenAid mixer at home. It is an incredible attachment. I could not love it anymore. So, hit my website, benstarr.com, for lots more recipes and ideas, travelogues and photos, and I hope you have a great day.